The city moved fast, and people even faster. Between the buzz of buses, the honks of cars, and the hurried footsteps echoing through sidewalks, no one really noticed anyone anymore. Faces blurred together, smiles became rare sightings, and laughter sounded almost foreign. In the middle of that endless rush was a small café tucked into the corner of Maple Street, a quiet little haven called the Corner Cup. It was the kind of place where time seemed to slow down. The smell of freshly brewed coffee always hung in the air, and the soft music that played from a slightly old radio wrapped the space in a comfortable calm. Behind the counter stood a young woman named Clara. She was in her mid-20s, with gentle brown eyes and hair that framed her face like a soft curtain. People said her smile used to light up the whole café. But lately, it had faded. It had been nearly 6 months since her father passed away, a quiet man who had loved making coffee more than anything. He was the one who had started the Corner Cup, pouring love into every cup he served. When he was gone, the warmth seemed to go with him. Clara still showed up every day, opened the shop, took orders, and smiled when she needed to, but her heart wasn't in it anymore. Her smile had turned into a habit, not a feeling. Most of her regulars noticed. Some tried to cheer her up, others respected her silence. But no one could quite reach her the way her father used to. The laughter that once danced around the café now felt like a ghost she couldn't bring back. One gray Tuesday morning, when rain painted streaks on the windows and the streets outside gleamed under puddles, a new customer walked in. He was an older man, probably in his late 60s, wearing a coat that had seen many seasons. His hat dripped rain as he took it off, shaking it slightly before finding a corner table by the window. He didn't say much, only gave a kind nod when Clara came over. "What can I get you today?" she asked politely, notebook in hand. He smiled faintly. "Just a small coffee. Black. And maybe a moment to sit in peace." Clara nodded, jotting it down. Of course. When she brought him his coffee, he thanked her with the same calm tone. But as she turned to walk away, he added softly, "You don't smile much anymore, do you?" The question caught her off guard. She turned back, uncertain how to respond. Well, I suppose not as much lately." He nodded thoughtfully, wrapping his hands around the steaming cup. That's a shame. You seem like someone whose smile used to mean something." Something about his words lingered in her chest. She wanted to ask what he meant, but the café bell jingled with new customers, and duty pulled her away. Still, through the rest of the morning, she found herself glancing toward the man in the corner. He sat quietly, sometimes staring out the window, sometimes scribbling in a small notebook he carried. When he left, he placed a few coins on the counter, more than the price of his coffee. Beneath them was a folded piece of paper. Curious, Clara opened it once the door had closed behind him. Inside was a short note written in careful handwriting. "A smile forgotten isn't lost, it's just waiting for a reason to return. Find your reason, young lady. The world misses your light." Clara didn't know what to think. The words were simple but carried a weight that stayed with her all day. When she closed the café that night, she found herself looking at the old photo of her father hanging behind the counter, him holding a cup of coffee, beaming at the camera, eyes full of pride. For the first time in a while, her lips twitched upward. It wasn't a full smile, but it was something. The old man, whose name she later learned was Mr. Emerson, came back the next morning. And the next. Always the same order, always the same seat. Over time, they began to talk. He was a retired schoolteacher who had lost his wife 2 years earlier. "She used to smile at everything," he said once, stirring his coffee slowly. "Even the rain. She said smiles are contagious. I never understood that until she was gone. Then I realized, I missed catching them." Clara found herself opening up in ways she hadn't in months. She told him about her father, about how running the café without him felt like carrying a shadow. Mr. Emerson listened quietly, never interrupting, never offering empty comfort. When she finished, he said gently, "Maybe your father isn't gone from this place at all. Maybe he's in every cup you pour, in every chair someone sits in every quiet kindness you offer. That's how people like him stay." The thought stayed with her. That evening, when the café emptied and the sun sank behind the buildings, she brewed a cup of her father's favorite blend and sat in his old seat by the counter. The smell brought back memories of laughter, of early mornings together, of stories told between sips. She found herself whispering, "I miss you," and though there was no answer, the silence didn't feel as heavy. Over the next few weeks, things began to change, subtly but unmistakably. Clara started greeting customers with more warmth. She remembered names, asked about their days, and even slipped little notes of encouragement into to-go cups sometimes. People noticed. The café began to feel alive again, filled with the gentle hum of conversation and the quiet joy of being seen. Mr. Emerson kept coming back, always smiling that calm, knowing smile. One day, he brought a small envelope with him. "This is for you," he said. Inside was an old photograph of a younger Mr. Emerson standing in front of a classroom full of children, all grinning widely. On the back, a message read, "Never underestimate the power of bringing joy to others. It always finds its way back." That night, Clara couldn't help but think about those words as she wiped the counters clean. Her heart felt lighter, her steps slower, more peaceful. For the first time, she realized she had started to look forward to each new day. But then, one morning, Mr. Emerson didn't come. She thought maybe he was just busy or the weather kept him home. Then another day passed. And another. By the end of the week, worry gnawed at her heart. He had become a part of her days, a gentle reminder that kindness could heal. She found his address in the small ledger where she kept regular customers' contact details. The next day, after closing the café early, she went to find him. His building was old but neat, the kind of place where every door looked the same. She knocked softly, but no answer came. Just as she turned to leave, a neighbor opened their door. "Are you looking for Mr. Emerson?" the elderly woman asked kindly. "Yes," Clara replied. "I just wanted to check if he was okay." The woman's face softened. "He passed away 2 days ago, dear." Peacefully, in his sleep. The words hit Clara like a wave. She thanked the neighbor quietly and walked back to the café under a heavy sky. When she reached the shop, she sat in his usual seat, staring at the rain tapping against the window, just like the day he first came in. As she sat there, tears finally fell, not just for him, but for her father, for the months of emptiness she had carried. But somewhere in the middle of that grief, a strange warmth bloomed. Because even though he was gone, Mr. Emerson had given her something priceless, her smile back. Later that night, when she went to close the café, she noticed something on the counter. A small brown envelope she hadn't seen before. It was addressed to her, written in familiar handwriting. Inside was a short letter. "Dear Clara. If you're reading this, it means I've taken my last walk down Maple Street. Don't be sad. You brought light back into a place I thought had lost it. Your father would be proud, you gave his café its heart again. Promise me you'll keep smiling, not for me, not even for him, but for you. Smiles travel far, farther than we ever imagine. Sometimes, they even find their way back." Asterisk. She held the letter to her chest, eyes glistening, a soft smile breaking through tears. That night, she placed the letter beside her father's photo, the two men who had taught her that kindness and love never really leave, they just change form. From then on, the corner cup became more than a café. It became a place where smiles were shared freely, where laughter echoed off warm walls, and where strangers became friends. Clara made sure that no one ever left without feeling seen, even if it was just a kind word or a smile at the counter. Years later, people would still talk about her, the woman who smiled like sunshine on rainy days, whose café felt like home. And though time moved on and the city around her kept rushing, there was something timeless about that small corner on Maple Street. One day, a young boy came in after school, shy and quiet, holding a crumpled paper covered in doodles. He placed it on the counter, eyes downcast. "It's for you," he mumbled. Clara unfolded it carefully. In the center was a child's drawing of a woman behind a counter, smiling. Underneath, in uneven letters, were the words, "Thank you for smiling. It made my day better." She felt her heart swell, tears prickling at the corners of her eyes. She bent down to meet his gaze and said softly, "You just made mine better too." That night, after closing, she stood by the window, watching the rain again. Her reflection smiled back at her, a real, glowing smile. And somewhere deep inside, she knew that both her father and Mr. Emerson would have smiled too. Because sometimes, kindness doesn't need grand gestures or perfect timing. Sometimes, it's just a smile finding its way back, through time, through loss, through the quiet beauty of connection. And in that small café on Maple Street, a smile that was once lost had finally found its way home.